Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. Who said the international break was going to be boring? This is probably one of the most exciting shows we've done in quite a while because we're going to be dissecting a quite large Sky Sports story today, talking about Manchester United's panic in their managerial search, how there's not optimism of even appointing a manager by the end of the month or knowing who it's going to be. Also talking about leaks from the club, and a very unsatisfying, disappointing future for Ralph Rangnick at Manchester United. If you were one of those fans like me who were hoping that he was going to stay in and help us rebuild this club, apparently it won't be hands-on at all. Will be a consultancy role, which is more about referring them to the correct people than rather than actually rebuilding the club. So, look, what I would say is that there's many people feel that we're going to get Ten Hag. There's many people that think we're going to get Pochettino. Personally, I'm absolutely adamant we should get Ten Hag. Really enjoyed the video that went up this afternoon dissecting his tactics and how they'd fit in at United. You can watch that at your leisure. But as I said last week, I feel that it wouldn't surprise me if this club, because I don't trust it, would push the Pochettino news story and to force a deal through. So look, let's start off with what Sky Sports were saying this afternoon, and then we can dissect it a little bit more. Basically, the headlines were that Ralph Rangnick's role at Manchester United will not be hands-on, and there is also an effort from United to erase the self-serving culture from some of the players, and they've got a good idea of who those players are who are leaking information, so we'll delve into that as well. And they spoke about the managerial situation and basically said they're a bit Man United are apparently a bit confused as to why everyone's talking about Ten Hag and Pochettino when there are four options, Lopetegui and Enrique. Also that there appears to be a bit of a safe option and an exciting option. Pochettino the safe option and Ten Hag the exciting popular choice. But in Pochettino, you've got this concrete option who has shown his Premier League capability and an ability to stack up well against Pep and Klopp in the past. So, and also further to that one source has informed Sky Sports that the likelihood of United appointing a manager on a pre-agreement by the end of the month is optimistic at best. So, hence United manager panic, because if there's any truth in that story, it's horrendous. Like as I said this morning, we need to come out of this week knowing who our manager is going to be, because that manager needs to be advising us from next week what players we're selling and what players we're buying. If we don't have a pre-agreement done for the manager by the end of this week, then we are screwed in the summer. You can't wait until the end of the season to sort your manager out. It has to be done this week. Now, people would say it's just a story. You don't necessarily have to listen to Sky. Agree? You don't have to listen to Sky. But let's remember, Sky Sports are one of the broadcasters of Premier League football in the UK. They spend a lot of money on it. They spend a lot of money on their news. I wouldn't dismiss it as total nonsense. They might not be briefed correctly, but I wouldn't dismiss it as complete and utter nonsense. And I would frame it in this way. It feels to me that if we're not optimistic about a pre-agreement on a manager by the end of this week, and we are talking about Pochettino as a concrete choice, does that not lead you to believe that we are going to go for Pochettino? Because we can get a deal done for Ten Hag this week. Ajax will talk to us, Ten Hag will talk to us. The manager that we can't get a deal for this week, and we're going to have to spend a lot of money on, if we did do it, is Pochettino. So is this leak that they're not optimistic about sorting a pre-management agreement out this week because we're going for bloody Pochettino? Because he's the one that we can't do this week. So maybe there's something in that. I don't know. But I want to dispel a couple of myths here because there's a lot to get into tonight. I want to talk about this Rangnick waste of space appointment that the club have just completely messed up by the looks of it. Letting him leave this club and not be hands-on and leaving it to people like Richard Arnold and John Murtaugh and Darren Fletcher is terrifying. They might be really good at their job, but I tell you what, they didn't land into the job last month. They've been here for years. They've just been over-promoted, in my opinion, until proven otherwise. That is terrifying. You bring a man in who knows how to rebuild football clubs, and then you don't let him rebuild a football club. Apparently he's got no involvement in the appointment of the manager as well. No involvement. So that's a contradiction to what we'd heard before, but apparently Rangnick's not involved in this. He's totally focused on trying to get the team into the top four. So laughable as well. I just feel like this afternoon we got briefed to be pro Pochettino. I do. I really do. I've heard people saying Pochettino knows how to deal. United like Pochettino because he knows how to deal with big egos. Remind me how that's going for PSG, or are we talking about Dele Alli? I mean, come on, he knows how to deal with big egos. That's really gone well at PSG, hasn't it? Mark, the keeper said PSG would have to pay 20 million to sack him. Also, sorry, but I thought I'd plug my Twitter United related at Sebi United. Thank you, Sir Sebastian Official. That's absolutely fine. I think money is going to be money's going to be very important. Moderators, there's a few twats. Palash is one. I've just got rid of him as well. But we're trying to have a proper conversation about the future of Manchester United Football Club. If you're not interested in that, jog on. Anyway, look, I wanted to dispel a couple of these myths because I do feel like we got a brief to be trying. I feel like, and I might be completely wrong with this, and I don't know what anyone else thinks, I feel like every couple of days they're trying to push a positive Pochettino story, because if they want to appoint him, they've got to spin it. They've got to make it positive. And I feel like the club, they know everybody wants Ten Hag. They know he's the popular choice. And it feels like it's so easy to do. But it feels like they're still trying to push the Pochettino story because that's the one they want to go for. This is easy to get Ten Hag done this week, but it feels like they're pushing Pochettino. But it's not going to work because their angle that they're going for is just not going to work. They're trying things that just will not work because they're actually nonsense. I heard today that Pochettino is the safe, consistent option, whereas Ten Hag is the exciting, risky option. And I was like, how have you figured that one out then? Why is Pochettino the safe option? He got sacked by Spurs and won sod all. Why is he safe? Oh, he's been to England. Bloody great. It's like, the safe, well-known option against the exciting unknown. Well, why don't you know anything about Ten Hag? He took Ajax to a semi-final 3 years ago. Why don't you know about him? Man City bloody well know about him. Why is he a risk? It's ridiculous. It's like you go out for a night out and you've got to marry somebody, and in the club you see your mates, your best mate's ex, who you know because you went to the wedding and you used to go out, with them and you know them very, very well, and your mates told you everything about them, about what they like and what their faults are, but you know them and they're safe. And then on the other side of the bar, there's a gorgeous person with a great personality, but you've only just met them. Oh, it's all right. I'm going to go for the safe option. I know she's my ex-mate's, but at the end of the day, at least I know everything about her. I know you're really excited and a great personality, and you're not my ex-mate's missus, but I'm going to go for the safe option. It's like the bloke on the car. It's like the bloke who's got the money to buy a Ferrari, but he's always had an Audi, and every couple of years when the new model comes out, he just gets the Audi because he knows it and it's safe. Fucking go for the Ferrari. Go for the Ferrari. I mean, I don't get this obsession with safe. And you know what it is? It's manipulation, in my opinion. It's pure manipulation. What's this bloody angle that Pochettino's safe? What's this story in Sky about Pochettino being a concrete choice because he's mixed it up with Pep and Klopp before? Mixed it up? What are you bloody well on about, mixed it up? We are such a joke at the moment. Prats at the top don't want to look like idiots, but won't accept that Ralph Rangnick to appoint manager. What's going on, says Nate H. Well, I'm just going to blow it out the water here. I'm not going to hold off anymore. I'm going to blow it out the water here. There's a story in Sky today basically saying that Pochettino is the concrete choice because he's mixed it up with Pep and Klopp in the past. Now, I'm just going to deliver an absolute mic drop here. But before I do that, let me say this. Pochettino became Spurs manager in August 2014. I think I'm correct on that. And he was sacked as Spurs manager in November 2019. So he was there for 5 years, yeah? 5 years as Spurs manager. 1-0. Fine, Spurs don't normally win anything. Qualified for the top 4 times out of 5 seasons. Pretty decent. Win ratio, I think it was around 55%. Pretty decent. Yeah, well done. Top 4 virtually every year. Pretty decent win ratio, right? Okay, you've got to win a lot of games if you're getting top 4 every year. Brilliant. Okay. Now then, what's his record against the traditional top 6 in that time? Let's take all the top 6 over the 5 years that Pochettino was the manager. Let's take all the top 6 games over those 5 years. Let's put them into a mini league and let's see where Pochettino came with Spurs. I'll tell you where he came. He lost more games than anybody including Arsenal, who were pretty crap at that time. So in the 5 years Pochettino was at Spurs, if you accumulate every game between the traditional top 6, he lost more games than anybody else in the top 6. And if you put their points together, he came 5th. Now people will say, well, how can he lose the most games and comes 5th? It's because you're an idiot. You've not thought it through. The reason Arsenal came bottom is because they drew way more games than Spurs. Spurs still lost the most games. His record against the traditional top 6 is crap. It's crap. So where's this story coming from that Pochettino with Spurs mixed it up with Pep and Klopp when his record against the top 6 is factually crap? So don't fall for the spin. The press love Poch. Let them love Poch, but call it out with facts. He did qualify 4 out of 5 years in the top 4 for Spurs. He did have quite a good win ratio, you'd expect that. But his record against the top 6 is abysmal, and he lost more games than any other team in the top 6 if you accumulate their points together. You know what I think this is all about? And I think it's absolutely easy to read. We want Ten Hag because Manchester United fans believe we should be fighting for titles. Manchester United want Pochettino because they want a manager who will get them 4th place every year. And this, for me, is where the rub is. They just want a manager who will get us 4th place every year. And Pochettino, in 5 years at Spurs, got them top 4 years out of 5. How many title races did he get him into? How many times did he beat the teams that you need to beat to win a title? He can't do that, but he can get you 3rd and 4th, and that, my friends, is that, because that is what Manchester United is all about. You look at our net spend over the last 9 years and you compare it to Chelsea, Liverpool, and City. I guarantee we've spent more than them individually. Maybe Man City have spent a little bit more. Maybe Chelsea are close to us. Maybe even Liverpool are close to us. But I guarantee over the last 9 years, we've probably spent as much or the same as Man City, Chelsea and Liverpool have. How many titles have Liverpool, Chelsea and Man City won in the last 9 years? Well, they've all won at least one. Some of them have won 2. Look at this season. Carabao Cup final, Chelsea against Liverpool. FA Cup semi-finals, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, all in them. Look at the Champions League quarterfinals. Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, all in it. Look at the league race. Well, Chelsea aren't really in it, but the 3rd, Liverpool and Man City. We have spent as much money as them. Our wages are much more than them. Can you not see what the problem is with this football club? It's not actually expenditure. It's the people running the club. And we're supposed to believe them that Pochettino's the man to bring this club back to where it needs to be. He's the man to get you 4th place so you can maintain your Champions League revenue. He's the man who... You want him to do what he did at Spurs. You want him to do it on next to no money and make you money. You want top 4 every year. That's what you want. You want 4th place every year and he's perfect for it. That's what this is. Call it out for what it bloody well is. It's just a con job to get 4th place every year if they go for him. And everybody bloody knows it. And they can't spin it any other way. Oh, he's got a good record against Pep and Klopp. No, he hasn't. He bloody well hasn't. He's got a good record of getting a team with not much money spent to 4th place. And then people will say, well, give him the money, Mark. He'll do well. What, like Messi, fucking Neymar and Mbappe? He's not the man. He's not the man. What's more worrying for me is the possibility of Ralph not having a say over football decisions. It's appalling, Matthew. I fear that Poch will be at the helm next season due to players' preference, and even more than that our number 9 next season will be Kane, says FIFA Crazy. Mark, be honest, in 20 years, will United be the biggest club in England? Football changes fast, says Connor T. And why would we pay PSG for a manager they don't want to sack because he's crap, says Jack Birtles. I think there's a few things. Mark, he had a much worse team factually, says Robert McCormack. Robert, I'm not falling for that. So basically, Robert's come out with another golden nugget here that because Pochettino had a worse team, he should lose more games against Arsenal, United, City, Liverpool, and Chelsea. He was there for 5 years, mate. 5 years, 2014 to 2019. Liverpool was shit for 3 years of that. We were shit for 3 years of that. Arsenal were probably shit for most of it. All right, City and Chelsea, they go up and down, but he shouldn't have lost more games than everybody. It was not one bloody season. He should, if he's a good manager, be able to get more points than he did against the top 6. The reality is he just can't. When Pochettino comes push to shove, he can't do it. He'll get you in the top 4, and that's what they want him for. Mark, so yeah, I do think there was a great point in there about player power. And I would say this: why on earth would this club listen to people like Harry Maguire and co when they're not good enough for United? Why should crap players have a say on who the manager's going to be? I mean, bloody hell! It's like asking the turkey which route you should take to the abattoir. The road's that way. Freedom's that way. Let's go that way. I mean, why would you ask Man United players what manager they want? Fucking hell! I mean, sorry to swear. It's I know it's not that late, but what? Just bloody ridiculous. Why would you ask players what manager they want? They're going to go for the manager that they think's going to keep them in a bloody job, aren't they? They're not going to go for the one that they don't suit. If I'm Harry Maguire, I don't want bloody Ten Hag. I'm screwed. But then again, maybe I do want Ten Hag because he might turn me into a decent player. These players should be going for the manager that's more exciting, that's going to develop them as footballers. And if they're not up for that, they want to go with another mates race, because there will be people in that squad going, Pochettino's all right, he'll sort you out. Every manager praises and lauds Ralph Rangnick. We have the cheek to just use him as an interim, says Rest Up, Build Up. Poch won't get a single second from me. The objective for football is to win trophies, which he hasn't won in his whole career. Professional bottler. Well, he did win a French Cup, and he is going to win the French League. Red Devil. To Robert, Brendan Rodgers won an FA Cup with a much smaller club than Leicester. Poch also bottled the league when his competition was Leicester, says K-Flow. Yeah, and Leicester bloody won the league, K. Look, if people want Pochettino, it's absolutely fine. Like, I really want to say, if you want Pochettino, you're not villains. You're not the enemy. You've got an opinion. I actually respect it. I don't mind. I know why Robert wants Pochettino over Ten Hag. I respect it. I don't agree with it. I respect it. But what I won't do is allow a scenario where we're being spun on lies. All I get about Pochettino is he's Premier League proven and he knows how to mix it up against Pep and Klopp. That's bullshit. We've just proved it today. He doesn't know how to make. That's his thing. He doesn't know how to mix it up against Pep and Klopp, because he's lost more games against the top 6 than anyone else did in the 5 years that he was there, and his away record's bloody abysmal as well. Let's not forget his away record is appalling. So, and also this whole he's a safe option over Ten Hag. What the friggin' hell does safe mean? What does safe mean? Why is he a safer option than Ten Hag? I'd say he's a worse I'd say he's a more risky option, because we've seen what he does in the Premier League. He can't deal with top 4 teams. He's very good at getting you enough points to finish 4th, but he can't take you beyond that. Why is that safe? Maybe Ten Hag can take us to a title. Surely it's better to go for the man who can potentially take you to the title than the guy who's pretty much probably not going to take you to the title. But it's spin. It's all about spin. Certain people in that club want Pochettino, and they're desperately using their mates in the media to push it. But they're talking out their arse, because what they don't realise is you can go and do your own research on Pochettino. You can go and see what his points accumulation was. Clubs who take risks end up with success. Klopp, Pep and Tuchel were all risks. Look at their reward. Yeah, Tuchel was a risk, Dan. Klopp was a risk, and look at how Liverpool and Chelsea have done. I don't think Pep's a risk because of what he did at Barcelona and Bayern, apart from the fact that he'd never been in the Prem before. But I'd certainly say Tuchel and Klopp were big risks, and look what happened. Do you think Poch brings Kane, and if so, do you think it makes any difference without getting a CDM? No. We need a top quality CDM, Trishan. And Ten Hag is favourite with the buckets. If we get Poch, there will be more uproar from the fans, and he will fail more than we already are, says Ewan. I am easily... look, if we get Pochettino, I'll have to deal with it. He's the manager, isn't he? He's probably going to be the manager for another 3 years. You can't just sit there and go, this is... Well, you can sit there and say it's ridiculous, but I'm very interested to see how the club are going to push this on the fans, because everybody knows it's not the right... Well, most people know it's not the right thing to do. This club is fast becoming the Chicago Cubs of English football. If you know, you know, says Stephen Rossi. But I think it's interesting as well what somebody said there about player recruitment, because I was thinking about this earlier, and I've said it on previous shows. If you are a player, a footballer, and you are in your early 20s, that means you were born in the year 2000. So you would have been 8 when United last won the Champions League, and you would have been about 13 when we last won the title. It's not very recent experience of Manchester United being a big club, is it? And that's run, and with every year that we don't win anything, every year that becomes a point where there will be players who are 18, 19 who've got no recollection of United ever winning anything. And look, if you want to buy a French midfielder, You want to know, you want them to remember the last time we were relevant in the Champions League. Well, that's 14 years ago. If they're 19, I doubt they remember it when they were 5. Like, we are moving further and further away from being a big club in the eyes of young footballers. To us as fans, we'll always be a big club because it's our club. We can stare, we can watch MUTV, we can look into the history, we can remember if we're old enough. But these younger players that are coming through, Man City's a big club. They win Premier League titles. They get to Champions League finals. Chelsea's a big club. They've won the Champions League last year. Liverpool's a big club. They won the Champions League a couple of years ago. We're a big club in name, but Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Juventus, they don't go very long in between winning titles. We are losing our foothold in football by just spinning this constant crap that we're a big club. Why are we a big club? We're a big club because of the fans. And they don't want to listen to the fans. And that's my point. We're not a big club because we make a lot of money from brands. We're not a big club because we win trophies. We're a big club because we've got a big support base, which is made up of football fans who they don't bloody want to listen to. They're a walking contradiction. The thing that makes Man United a big club is you, the fans. But they don't want to listen to you. Mark, we haven't even played this weekend and United are already ruining my week, says Daniel. When you had Fabrizio on the show, he said Ralph would help with transfers. Which one is it? Ornstein said manager would be done soon. Contradiction City, says Daniel Kirk. Well, mate, look, don't shoot the message to Daniel. I can only react to what the stories are. This is from Sky Sports this afternoon. As I said this morning, if Ten Hag truly is the favourite, he will be agreed by the end of the week. If they're pushing for Pochettino, it could take weeks and weeks and weeks. Which in itself, look, let's just look at this factually for a moment, right? If the club are obsessed with getting Pochettino, it's the wrong thing to do, in my opinion, for what we've spoken about. But even if Pochettino was a 50-50 choice with Ten Hag and the fans were like, we don't really mind which one we go for. Clearly at the moment, the fans want Ten Hag and Poch. Even if it was 50-50, it would still be in favour of Ten Hag because you can get him this week. You can't get Pochettino this week. You can't get him next week. You can't do it until the end of the season when PSG decide if they're going to sack him or not. If they sack him, they've got to pay him off. If Man United want him, they've got to pay PSG off. You're talking 20 million quid to get Pochettino, who's also the worst option. It makes no logical sense. But what did Sky say today? Somebody from that football club, our football club, has apparently told them that the appointment of a manager by the end of this month, which is next week, is highly optimistic. So does that not make you think they're still going for Poch? Because you could get Ten Hag done this week. I really think Rangnick with a good squad of choice would get us winning trophies. It's more about the players than the manager at this stage, says Amit. And has Seb ever seen Man United win anything, says Tom. No. This club will never again listen to what the fans want. All they care about is revenue streams and dividends at the end of the day. It's a sad decade, says Ivan. And that's what terrifies me. Whatever you think about whatever fans think, even if you think you know it, you know best and everyone else is talking shit, I'm telling you now, the only thing that will appeal to Manchester United about Pochettino and him being a safe option, you know, for me it's really frustrating. When I hear stories like Pochettino is seen as the safe option because he's mixed it up with Pep and Klopp before, or he's experienced in the Premier League. I know that's bullshit. I know it's bullshit because I know what his record is against the top 6 and his away record is abysmal. But you know the key line that they're basing this on, and they're not even lying. They're not even lying. The key line that makes them feel he's the concrete choice, because in there, your expectations are up here. You're like, what are you on about? He's got a crap record against the top 6. Absolutely crap. Why is he the right man to take us to the top when he's got a crap record against the top 6? Your standards are up here, and that's why you're confused and going, what are you on about? United's standards are down here. And what United like, and what makes United feel like they're telling the truth and empowered and feel like Pochettino's the concrete choice, you know what it is? 4 Champions League qualifications in 5 years with Spurs. That's what it's about. Because all that bloody ownership wants is 4th place. Every bloody year for the next 20. If you can give us 4th place, we'll be multimillionaires because we can just keep making the money. We are not even in a big club anymore. City have gone ahead of us in revenue generation and the gap now is around £70 million, says Mojo. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Man City's revenue is quite interesting, isn't it? That's to say the least, where they get their money from. I mean, a lot of these clubs' sponsors seem to be owned by their owners, don't they? But look, at the end of the day, I'm not going to talk about revenue streams. Ultimately, I'm interested in Premier League positionings, and where Man City are is as a football team is way better. And it does come across as bitter when you talk about revenue streams, because ultimately I couldn't not give a shit if Man United are number one on revenue streams. Why does that benefit me or you? Oh, we're number one on TikTok. We're number one on revenue streams. Hello. Why is it something to be proud of if we're number one on revenue? We are number one on debt. So, and also revenue is just what the Glazers are interested in. So yeah, let's see what happens. I still think it's going to be a big week, and I think it's going to be a big week because it's a bit like a ticking clock, really. It's a bit like the Sancho thing that Dortmund said. You've got till the end of the week or we're not going to do a deal with you. Now, it's not quite the same, but in many ways there is a limit there. There is a time limit there. By the end of this week, if Ten Hag's going to be the manager, we'll know. If United let this go past this international break, I would give up on Ten Hag being the manager, because Ajax are happy for us to talk to him. Ten Hag is happy to talk to us, and that means you talk to him this week, you agree a deal, he's your manager. If we haven't agreed that deal by the end of this week, or the start of next week, we're clearly not going for him, and we're clearly waiting to do a deal with Poch. And I'm going to lose my shit. I really am. On a personal note, I'm going to lose my shit, because I'm going to have to sit and watch a manager send us through another 3 years of what we had with Mourinho and what we had with Ollie, where we're basically championing finishing third or fourth or second. And I don't think we'll finish second anymore. I think that was a bit of a one-off. I thought Mourinho's second was very impressive. I thought Ollie's was a bit fortuitous because Liverpool had a massive injury season and Chelsea sacked their manager halfway through. Are the owners and the board actually under the belief that they are only one or two signings away from a title? Who knows, Steve? And if they are, then they're bloody idiots. If we get Poch, we're not getting top four next season. Back-to-back seasons in Emmerdale Cup is what Glazers need, says Srinvasan. And have you noticed that the majority of managers that were decent footballers were all midfielders? I guess they really do read the game, says Tom Charles. And this club is engraved with mediocrity, looking for a former Liverpool coach as director of football. Emphasis on former. When Mitchell is available, we are a joke, says Dan. And Premier League proven is the most annoying argument. Has there ever been a manager who has Premier League proven before winning the first title? I can only think of Kenny Dalglish, says Jason. I think Kenny Dalglish played in it. I mean, you know what, actually? Let's go. That's a great point. Let's go back through every Premier League manager who's won the Premier League in the last 20 years. And call me out if I'm wrong on this. So, Pep Guardiola was not Premier League proven. Klopp was not Premier League proven. Chelsea's last manager to win it was... I don't remember. I'm not great on every other club, but I know Conte won it. He wasn't Premier League proven. Sarri wasn't Premier League proven. Mourinho wasn't. Well, the first time he was, Mourinho was Premier League proven, but he'd already won it with Chelsea where he wasn't Premier League proven. Did Ancelotti win the league? Because he wouldn't have been Premier League proven. Totally with you, Mark. Why is measuring up against Pep and Klopp the measuring scale? Why not improve the club in general, says Nilesh. Sir Alex was not Premier League proven. Ranieri was not Premier League proven. Wenger was not Premier League proven. Mancini was not Premier League proven. Pellegrini was not Premier League proven. And Ranieri was. Yeah, Ranieri was actually, because he'd managed Chelsea and he'd not won the league. So you're right there. So Ranieri with Leicester hadn't won it before and had come back from Chelsea to do it. But look, you're talking 99% of managers that have won the Premier League in the last 20 years, or well over 90%, are not Premier League proven. And yet United, I mean, it's another hole in the boat, isn't it? We want a manager who's Premier League proven to get us top four, basically. Because what is Pochettino Premier League proven to do? Get you fourth place. That's what he'll do. He's not proven to win you a bloody Premier League. So unless we're bringing a manager who's Premier League proven, title winner, Conte, Klopp, Pep, then why would I be interested in Pochettino? It's a great point. He's not Premier League proven to the level we want. We want a Premier League manager who wins a title. He's a manager who'll get you fourth place. So absolutely spot on in relation to that. Look, we'll see what happens. As I said, I think if we don't get Ten Hag sorted by the end of this week, early next week, we're clearly going for Pochettino. And if we're going for Pochettino, I think we're in for a world of pain. I don't think it will lead to protests or sales, but I don't think it will lead anywhere other than fighting for fourth for the next 3 or 4 years that they keep him in charge. He's just not the man. He's just not the man, in my opinion. And we'll see what the club go with. But they're obviously terrified of going for something that's exciting. And that's basically, if you've ever worked in the banking financial world, people don't like risk. And we're run by bankers. Bankers don't like risk. They like a safe spreadsheet. They like to be able to predict the future. And I suppose Pochettino allows them to predict fourth place. He's stable. He's consistent. And that makes money. I don't know. Anyway, on from that to another. Very, very disappointed to see this story coming out from the same article from Sky that Rangnick is not expected to have a hands-on role at Manchester United after this season. Obviously, one of the big reasons I was excited... I never wanted an interim coach. Back in November, I was even saying go for Poch because I felt that we needed to go... And don't come at me saying, well, how can you say you don't want Poch now and you wanted him in November? As we all know, November was a very different time. I wanted Brendan Rodgers. Basically, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was our manager. So I would have took most people then. But also, I felt that in November, we needed a permanent manager. Spurs had just done it with Conte. Gerrard had just done it with Villa. I felt that we needed a permanent manager because it felt like we were writing the season off. And I don't think any football club should write a season off in November. And ultimately, we did. We've written this season off. It's gone absolutely terrible. But the only reason I was positive about going for an interim is because I believed, like I think many people believed, I believed that we were getting an interim manager in to assess the club at basement level and then move upstairs with the knowledge they've got and build the club from higher levels. And that's why I felt that Rangnick as an interim coach, whilst not ideal, I didn't really want an interim, was a good idea because I thought Rangnick would come in, assess the club, move upstairs, help appoint the manager, help with recruitment and help with sales and rebuild the club. And that's what I thought we were being sold. We weren't being sold that at all. We're basically being sold, come in, try and get us top 4 and then piss off. And that's basically what's going to happen. He will have a consultancy role, but it will be very much end of the phone advice on what people to speak to, etc. Not hands-on in rebuilding the football club. So basically we've been sold a lie, haven't we? Because if I'd known that and you'd known that back in December, I would have gone mad about it. It wouldn't make any difference, but I would have said, what? We're getting an interim in to try and get his top 4 and then he's going away, but he'll be on the end of the phone to give you some advice if you need it. What sort of bullshit's that? And if that's true, we've been sold another bloody lie, haven't we? Because the reason people got excited about Rangnick was we thought he was starting at the basement and rebuilding the club. Not the case, apparently. We may as well have got Ollie back. Because what's the point of Rangnick for 5 months and then he goes? What was the point? We basically wrote the season off, haven't we? In November, we wrote the season off. And that's why I felt we should have gone for someone more permanent. This club already lost 5 times by City just in 2022. We need new owner with a winning structure. Find some billionaires like Sir Ratcliffe, says Nate. I think it's an absolute waste of Rangnick's experience of rebuilding football clubs. I think it's an absolute waste of the time he's spent at the club. I think it justifies the players being the knobheads that they've been, some of them, because it's basically... The players obviously knew this. We've been confused as to why these players have acted so badly over the last few months, so petulantly. Some of them have come off the bench and just basically jogged about like they don't care. It's because they don't care. They know this man. They know this man's not part of the future. They know he's not rebuilding the club. They know he's just a guy on a WhatsApp group. So what if I don't play well? It's the summer I've got to worry about. And again, it's just... I can't believe a football club of the size of Manchester United is so badly run that you would write a season off in November, bring a guy in who's only going to be there a few months, then be on the end of a phone call, and then try and start again. It's just, where's the structure? Where's the vision? Where's the idea? Where's the passion? Where's the drive to be a successful football club? And it terrifies me even more because I look at these people that are apparently going to run our club. Richard Arnold as CEO. Does he know what he's doing? We don't know yet. Darren Fletcher was training the kids 18 months ago because he wanted to complete his badges. He's now he's the only technical director in history to get a bloody yellow card. What's he doing on the side of the pitch? What's he doing as technical director? We don't know. Let's wait and see. Murta, who came with Moyes and has been promoted, maybe he's been over-promoted. We just don't... Our hands are in the club of 3 question marks. And that's the thing for me. They could end up being really good. Many people would say you're very optimistic. They could end up being very good. But they're big question marks. I don't see Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea appointing question marks. I don't. So why are we doing it? Everything's about jobs for the boys. Everything's about, oh, go on then, give him a try. We're Manchester United. We should be employing the best of the best. If you employ question marks, you end up with questionable results. Simple as that. With the current competition of managers, I even doubt Poch can guarantee 4th every year. He's not beating Conte, and even Arteta might hand him a new one. He couldn't hack it 4 years ago. Yeah, I mean, Kay makes a great point there. A very great point. A very great point as well, which I haven't made yet, so I'm going to sort of nick it, Kay. The only thing I ever hear about pro-Pochettino stuff is his great Premier League record for Spurs, which basically ended 3 years ago. He was sacked 3 years ago. In 2019, he was sacked. Go back to 2019 when he was sacked. Arsenal were dodgy. Newcastle didn't have money. Man United were dodgy. It was around the time Mourinho got sacked, wasn't it? Obviously, Pep and Klopp were still there. Chelsea back in 2019, I don't remember. They changed their managers so often. But he got sacked. He got sacked. And he got sacked at a time when Arsenal weren't that great. Chelsea weren't that... United weren't that great. He's now dealing with a much more competitive Premier League. So that would be ridiculously naive of United to think, oh, a manager that did well between 2014 and 2019 is going to do well in 2022. As we've seen with Mourinho, football changes. The Premier League changes. We're going to really go all in on a manager that's not managed in the Premier League for 3 years and was sacked 3 years ago. So generally, he's not been good in the Premier League for 3.5 years. And the Premier League's changed a lot. Arsenal have got their act together. The club that he was managing has got a better manager than him in Conte. Chelsea have got their act together. Liverpool, Man City, and Newcastle are coming up. Is he going to be able to get top 4 anymore? The players showed that they don't care about fans more than anything. If this is why they played so poorly, absolute disgrace, says Gabriel Noel. I mean, look, we'll never get anecdotal evidence about that, but if we are now finding out that Rangnick's role at this football club is nowhere near what we thought it was going to be, and basically it's just going to be an email, that's it, if we want some advice, then the players would surely know about that, and it would explain a lot. If they knew Rangnick wasn't going to be part of this rebuild, then it would explain a lot in relation to some of the performances we've seen from some of these players over the last few weeks and months. With the current competition of managers, I even doubt Poch can guarantee 4th every year. I've done that from Kay. It was a very good point. And get outside Old Trafford in numbers and stop buying merchandise and shirts. Get the board to notice us. Let's not fill their pockets to be able to carry on with this. This is our club. Fans United glazes out, says Sachin. Well, one of the other reasons as well, I mean, I just want to sort of say this as well. One of the... and look, let's not forget, this is just a story that we're talking about tonight. And there are different stories. And ultimately, if it's from an outlet that's got some sort of history of relevancy, then I think it's worth discussing. And ultimately, we're in the dark at the moment like mushrooms. So we should always discuss both possibilities. But let me bring you back to what I said this morning. We could be talking to Ten Hag this week and getting the deal done by the end of the week. Thumbs up. Good idea. Let's hope it happens. If we don't, and some of these rumours about Pochettino are true, I think they need exposing. And I'm not going to have it, in my opinion, I'm not going to have it that you're going to paint a picture of a manager that was managing 5 years ago in the Premier League that apparently mixed it up with Pep and Klopp, and he didn't. As I said, I've got the facts here. I'm actually going to read it out to you here. How the Big Six compare over the table shows the results in matches between the top 6 sides in the Premier League from 2014 to Pochettino's sacking in 2019. First place, Liverpool, 87 points. Second place, Man City, 83 points. Third place, Manchester United, 77 points. Fourth place, Chelsea, 68 points. And then Spurs, 60 points. Arsenal, 51 points. It's not mixing it up at all, is it? It's not mixing it up at all. And he lost more games than Arsenal. Arsenal lost 22 and they drew 21. He lost 23 and he drew 15. So it's only because Arsenal drew a few more than he did. But what I fear if we do go for Pochettino and we don't go for Ten Hag, and I think it might make a little bit of sense to you, is that if United know that they're not going to be competitive, just listen to this scenario, right? If I'm a board member or I'm the Glazers, and I know I'm not restructuring my club to suit Ten Hag. I'm not going to give him what he's got at Ajax. I'm not going to give him all the coaches. I'm not going to give him the director of football. I'm not going to give him the CEO that he had there. We're not giving him that level of a structure. We're just not going to do it. Let's not go for him then. He might be excited. He might be the fans' choice, but we're not going to give him the structure that he had at Ajax. We're going to give him the structure that Mourinho had, that Ollie had, that Van Gaal had, where we're in charge and we say what goes. Pochettino had that with Daniel Levy. That's what my concern is. We want Ten Hag because we know he's exciting and he's a manager that Man City or Liverpool would be looking at. That's why we want him. Man United might be looking at Poch because they want a manager like Mourinho who they can control, and they know Pochettino's done that at Daniel Levy. I think that's what they're talking about when they talk about Premier League proven. It's not Premier League proven. He's fourth place proven under a dictatorship ownership. I think that's the attraction to Pochettino, if I'm absolutely honest. And as I said last week, if they go for Ten Hag, I will put my hand up and say something's changing at United, because to go for Ten Hag, you've got to change the structure of the football club. So I would applaud it. It would only be a small step forward, but I would applaud it. We'll just have to wait and see. But you look at Chelsea, you look at Liverpool, you look at Arsenal, and you look at Man City, and there's a constant theme there. Whatever their success levels are, their managers have clearly been given a structure that is all moving in the right direction. At Arsenal, I think it's Edu, isn't it? Works very closely. I think he's director of football or something with Arteta. Players have been booted out. The Willians, the Aubameyangs, they've been booted out. Players have been brought in. Chelsea have always had that structure. They always support their manager. I mean, they spent 70 million on Kepa. They will support their manager, whether it's Sarri, Conte, Tuchel, they will do it. Man City, that club is built in the way that Pep wanted it to be built, and Liverpool, Klopp has built that club in the way that he wants it to be built. Man United have never allowed that to happen, and it's not something that they want putting out there, but it's a very good last minute there, because we've just shown all those clubs are successful in their own way. Arsenal are coming back, Chelsea is successful, Liverpool and Man City are successful. That is the blueprint on how to do it. Man United don't want to do that. They want to control. Woodward always wanted to keep that club under his control. The structure around the manager is how you get success, and Ten Hag's got that at Ajax. Would they allow that to happen at Manchester United? They've spoken a good game. There's your opportunity. Go and do it. Rangnick deserves to have a say on what goes on in this club. I'm 100% sure that next season he'll be the only member with a higher role with any football knowledge. It's bloody ridiculous, says Trevor. And the other managers weren't Premier League proven, but they generally came from similar level leagues. Does Ten Hag really know the level of Liverpool and City? Does he really know the quality of players we need? Says James Harper. James, you're talking like the Dutch league's the MLS. The Dutch league is not the MLS. I think the Dutch league is a decent league. Like, I think when Ten Hag came into there, Ajax hadn't won the league for a few years. You're acting like they're the PSG of the Netherlands. It really, they've wiped the floor with Dortmund this season in the Champions League. It's not a bad league. People are acting like he's coming over from Australia and he doesn't know who Mo Salah is. He's got no idea who Ronaldo is. Europe's a very small place in the world of football. Ajax players are going to other clubs and performing. Just because Donny didn't get a chance here, Ajax players for 30 years have been leaving Ajax. Longer than that. I think Van Basten was from Ajax, wasn't he? Rijkaard as well. They were playing for AC Milan in the bloody 90s, early 90s. So let's not pretend that Ten Hag's going to come to England and go, oh my God, what is this? I think Ralph was sold a lie as well as the fans. The club want him to walk at the end of the season, 6 months as per the original deal he was offered. It's a joke. You know, the Rangnick thing's a joke. If this wasn't all about the manager, I think there'd be a lot more focus on the treatment of, or the lie of the Rangnick bullshit that we were sold. Nobody wanted an interim manager. It was basically writing the season off. Nobody wanted an interim manager for that reason. The only reason they spun it was because Rangnick's coming in and then he's going to be here as a consultant, and everyone thought he's rebuilding the club from top to bottom. We're now finding out he's not. We wrote the season off in November. He's here to get us through to the end of the season. Then he's off, and if they want to ring him up, they can speak to him. He rebuilt clubs. We're not going to use him for it. Didn't Poch come second in a one-horse race in 2021, says JD. Yeah, he did. And if Pochettino can't even live up to the expectations of PSG, how do we expect him to live up to United expectations, says Trevor Eaton. Well, look, get some of your questions in. I'm interested to see what people think. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. Look, I don't really care if people want Pochettino. I don't really care if you want Luis Enrique. I don't really care if you think Ten Hag's the wrong man. I can't tell you he's definitely the right man. I think everyone's got an element of risk. But what I will call out is this nonsense that Pochettino is somehow Premier League experienced in the way that he can compete with Pep and, Pop and Klep. Klep and Pop. Klopp and Pep. Because he can't. He can't. I actually think, I mean, I remember when Ajax won the Champions League in the early 90s, and what a great team it was with Van der Sar and everyone. I actually think that the Dutch league is very good at punching up above its weight. I mean, look, Ajax should have beaten Benfica. If you look at the matches, if you watch the matches, if you look at the match stats, it was a great result for Benfica, but Ajax should have won that. They should have won it. They should have won in Portugal, and they should have won in the Netherlands. But these things happen. We've seen United under Sir Alex get knocked out of group stages that we never should have got knocked out of. These things can happen. That wasn't even in the group stage. PSV, I think, are in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. I think there's a couple of Dutch teams in the Europa League quarterfinal as well. In fact, let's. What have I missed? Says D. You missed quite a lot. So let's have a quick look here at the Dutch league and how crap it apparently it is. So the Dutch league Europa League quarterfinals. You've got. Oh no! I've got that completely wrong. Sorry. I thought PSV were it. Maybe I'm talking about the Conference League. So you've got Italian. Well, there's no point looking at that. Scottish, Portuguese, French, English, Spanish, Italian, and German in that. So it must be the Conference League, which, to be honest, defeats my purpose. I'd sure have seen Dutch teams in one of the tournaments. Yeah, Conference League quarterfinals. You've got PSV and Feyenoord in the Conference League quarterfinals. So I don't know what happened to the Dutch teams in the Europa League, but look, it's not a farmers' league. Hi Mark, what have I missed? Says D Renfrey. And I remember being 10 and watching United being the most feared team in Europe. Those teams feel like a distant hallucination now. And irrelevant really, but Ten Hag or Zidane for United, says Rory Saunders. It might have been on TUSFC actually. I've just realised. Look, for me, I'm all in on Ten Hag now. But what I want to say about that is as well, and I don't understand why people can't figure this out. I did a tweet in 2019, just before we bought Harry Maguire, and I said I'll argue with anybody that he's a top 10 centre-back in Europe, right? I obviously tweeted that at the time from a position that I believed it. I still get that thrown at me 3 years later. He's not even a top 50 centre-back in Europe at the moment. Like, he's not. But it doesn't mean I was wrong in 2019 to say that. Manchester United paid £80 million for him in 2019. He wasn't the Harry Maguire he is today because we wouldn't have paid 80 pence for him. Like, we bought a centre-back that I believed at the time was one of the top 10 centre-backs in the world. We spent bloody 80 million on him, and I'd seen him play for England and a few games for Leicester, and I thought he was quite good. 3 years later, I can tell you, he isn't. But 3 years ago, I thought he was. You can't use an opinion from 3 years ago now. You can't. People seem to want to, but you can't. Things change. And that's exactly what I'm saying about Pochettino. 3 years ago, he got sacked by Spurs. 3 years later, we're meant to believe that he should be Man United manager. 3 years ago, he took Spurs to a Champions League final. And we're meant to believe he's the right man for Manchester United 3 years later. A lot can change in 3 years' time, is what I'm trying to say. And you can't... I think it feels to me like United are trying to cling on to something from 3-4 years ago. And football moves fast, and life comes at you fast. And ultimately, we're dealing with the now. We're not dealing with 3 years ago. God, if you're going to go for a manager that did well in the Premier League 4 years ago, 3 years ago, your problem's right there. What did we do 3 years ago? We thought Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could drive a bus. We were wrong. We were wrong. Don't start looking at the past. This is one thing that United must make a mistake of. We're living the past all the time. Mourinho, we appointed a manager off his past. It was too late. Pochettino, I believe it's too late. There was a time, it's not now. We're obsessed with the past. The future can provide you the answers. The now can provide you with the answers. And going back to what somebody said about the Dutch League, I'll keep saying this till the cows come home. If Pep Guardiola left Man City tomorrow, tell me the three managers. Bit of a game here then. Man City, arguably the best team in the world, arguably the best team in England with Liverpool. Pep Guardiola quits tomorrow. Who are the three managers Man City are going to try and get? Tell me. I think that Man United board are disregarding the infinite aspect of football, staying relevant in the entourage of big clubs. They will be phased out, says Abdullah. And Glazers need to know they need a manager to win the Premier League. Man City and Liverpool don't aim for Champions League position. They try for the title and get the Champions League position, says Ethan. Exactly. I think the three managers that are... And I'm wrong, but I do believe that Ten Hag would be in their three choices. I like what Patrick says. Arteta, Xavi, Nagelsmann. I think Enrique as well. But Ten Hag would be there. Pochettino would not be there. He would not be there. Ten Hag, I believe, would, but certainly might be there. Pochettino would not be there. Liverpool the same. I believe Ten Hag would be on the shortlist. Pochettino would not. So why are United considering Pochettino when the clubs that we're trying to be would concede would go for the manager that we can get? Answer me that. Just answer me that. That's all I want to know. Ollie would not be on the list, Faris. But answer me that. That's all I want to know. Why are United potentially considering Pochettino over Ten Hag when the two clubs we're trying to close the gap on would not consider Poch but would consider Ten Hag? Tell me that. Explain it to me. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. And the only way I can make it make sense is that Liverpool and Man City want to win titles. They want to build a club to win titles, and therefore they would consider Ten Hag for the job. If they wanted to build a club to maintain fourth place, they would probably consider Pochettino. It's about your standards. Man City and Liverpool would be looking at first place, and therefore they would put Ten Hag on the list. If you're looking for fourth place, then yeah, you're going to put Pochettino on the list because 4 out of 5 years at Spurs, he got top 4. It's about where your standards are. And the fact that we're considering Pochettino, for me, completely rams home what we've known for 10 years, that these owners, they just want fourth place. That's what they want. At the cheapest price, they just want fourth place. And that, to me, is why Pochettino is being brought into this conversation. Because he has shown absolutely no recent or in the past ability to compete with the top 6 clubs. Because the board are numpty, says D. Renfrey. Anyway, look, I think we've had enough for tonight, haven't we? But let's see what tomorrow brings. But I think it's going to be a big week. I really do. I think it's going to twist and turn. Klopp and Pep are on a different level than Poch. Ten Hag deserves a chance in the Premier League, says Trevor Eaton. And I think that's what Liverpool and Man City would do with Ten Hag. They know he's not. They know he's not Pep and he's not Klopp, but they'd be looking at a man that might be able to do that. And they'd certainly provide him with the structure to do it, which is something I don't know whether we can. Let's see what this club does. They've got an opportunity to show a new beginning. They've got an opportunity to please their fan base. They've got an opportunity to steer the club in a completely different direction to the last 9 years. Will they take it? And I'll repeat what I said this morning. If they came into this week wanting Ten Hag, by the end of the week, they'll have Ten Hag. If they came into this week wanting Pochettino, by the end of this international break, we won't have a manager and they'll keep it going until the end of the month. It's a big week for United. It's a big week. And as for this nonsense that was on the Sky Sports story about some source saying that United are surprised that Lopetegui and Enrique are not being mentioned. Well, that's because I can't even pronounce his name very well, and he's definitely not good enough to be United manager. And Enrique can't be United manager because he's managing Spain till the World Cup. So that's why it's all about Ten Hag and Poch. They want mediocrity. They enjoy watching the social media reactions to United losing, says Qatar. Well, I don't know about that. I've loved the show. Thanks everyone for watching it. I like these sort of shows because it's passion. It's opinionated. I like it when Robert comes up with something different. I like it when people come up with something different. I like the debates. I like the conversation. And I like that the passion is still there for this football club. And I just hope that somebody actually listens, because I think a lot of sense is spoken on this channel. Not necessarily by me, but certainly by the chat. So well done, everyone. I've enjoyed the show. We'll be back tomorrow morning for the morning show. If you want to feel a bit positive tonight, I did do a video this afternoon called Ten Hag's Tactics Explained. It's only about 15 minutes long, and it just basically breaks down a lot of what he's about, what he would bring to United, what we'd need to change. And yeah, I enjoyed making it, and I enjoyed watching it back. So do check it out if you want a bit of positivity. Man United must get Ten Hag before Real Madrid gets him, says Rashid. And that's the thing, isn't it? There's big clubs that are going to go for him if we don't. And imagine, I'll leave you with this. Imagine United's obsession for Pochettino comes true, and they get Pochettino, and for the next 3 years we're fighting for 5th. And then next summer, Ten Hag goes to a big club in England and turns them into a top side. The gamble that Chelsea took with Tuchel, the gamble that Liverpool took with Klopp, and someone does it with Ten Hag and he becomes brilliant. And then we sit there going, this bloody bored again. Thanks for watching. Take care, everyone. I'll speak to you tomorrow.